Hey everybody, welcome to CreArtive by Nature DIY and Decor. My name is Donna. Today I am so thrilled to be able to share my new and improved craft room with all of you. I've been working hard to get things organized and I wanted to put a bit of a nature-inspired twist to my room. So I am excited to share that with you. So let's get into it. So this particular room is actually not a room. This is in an unfinished basement, and I took a space down here that had a beautiful large window to provide me with lots of light, and it wasn't being used, this particular corner in the basement. So I asked my husband if he was okay with me taking this space over, and he said, of course, please do. So what I did was I used fabric to cover the ceiling as well as the external walls. They had some gyprock on them, and then on the walls that were just framed with lumber, I put fabric on those as well, and it gave it a nice cozy feel to the space. So I had to close this room off on one end, so I used a couple of bookcases, and then I also used a sheet to create a curtain, and I've got that hanging off of a bamboo rod. So you're going to see a lot of things from Walmart, as well as from thrift stores, garage sales, hand-me-downs, things I already had on hand. I tried to keep things at a very low budget. I actually enjoy that kind of a challenge. I don't have IKEA near me, so I can't get my hands on those types of furniture pieces, but I know that there's a lot of you who don't have that as well. So I hope this inspires you all to create a space that's your own, that's original to you, and it'll just show you too how you are able to just work with what you have. So one thing that I really wanted to do was make sure I could find everything. So I have things organized in sections. I've got like a fabric section and a yarn section, paints and art supplies, embellishments, and then general craft supplies, as well as like my paper crafting and art journaling and art supply. You name it, I've got some different sections for all of my supplies. And another thing I made sure to do was label. I needed to save on time looking for all the supplies I want to use for different projects to speed up my my production time so I can bring all of you some better content. Okay, so I'm going to show you all the different sections within my craft room. This is some fabric scraps that I have in a basket, and these are all in a bookcase right by my entrance. So I've also included things like felting supplies and little craft kits. You can see all the different things that I use in this craft room as well. I've got this suitcase, and then I also have this plastic bag. That plastic bag was actually from an old set of sheets. So inside this suitcase here, I've got Ziploc bags with different assorted fabrics that are all organized. And underneath that, I've got baskets with fabrics and little craft kits as well. These are all like string art and embroidery craft kits. Inside these baskets, I've got all my fabrics color coordinated, and they're inside these plate racks from Dollar Tree. Again, the video for these will all be in my playlist at the end of this video. I have got a stash of fabrics elsewhere in my craft room that is over in another location. It holds my large, bulkier items. So I also have my embroidery supplies here, some felt fabric. These are like stiff felt, and some more fabric in assorted types. So I've got it all nicely labeled, which has been helping me immensely.
In the bookcase, right beside the fabric bookcase, I've got an assortment of supplies here. I have canvases, picture frames, easels, and even some recyclables that I want to use for crafts. They are hidden away in that cupboard. But on the very top, I've got some family heirlooms. This is a briefcase, it's leather, and it was from my husband's great grandpa all the way from Germany. I also have this toolbox. This was my dad's, and so was this file folder. Now, I don't have anything stored away in these supplies, but I just wanted to show you the different types of things that you can use within your craft room. So in this bookshelf, I have got some large canvases and some small canvases. I have supplies tucked away in boxes. And this is an assortment of easels and some wood canvas frames. I also have these plastic containers. I picked these up from Walmart quite a while ago. You can find stuff like this at the beginning of the year when they have their organizational events happening. And I just stored some smaller canvases, easels, and things like that in these little bins. So now below that, I've got some artwork that I have worked on, and I'm not sure where I'm wanting to display all of this quite yet, so I've just got it tucked away here. And then some more larger canvases. Down below that, I've got picture frames. I love to use picture frames, and I always find them at the thrift store. So again, this is actually not all of them. I've got another stash of them tucked away over in my other little hideaway for supplies. I have to go through all of that and sort and purge. But in the meantime, I'm happy with how things are. So this is a cupboard that's at the bottom of this particular bookshelf, and I've got a shoe rack inside, and these baskets from Dollarama fit on there perfectly. You can see all the different types of supplies that I have stored away for some upcoming projects. So there is an exterior door behind this bookcase, and just on the side I have put some hooks on there, and I have an easel as well as some painting shirts hanging on those hooks. And you can see the door is right there. And I also have another easel just kind of tucked away in the corner there as well. So this is the bookcase that's covering up that exterior door, and I'm telling you, bookcases are great for storage. This one is full of paints and art supplies, and then on the bottom I have all my Cricut supplies and large crafting tools. So on the very top, I've got some baskets that hold spray paint and just assorted painting tools. You can see I've got paintbrushes and large bottles of paint, as well as some more spray paint. In this basket, I've got ice cream lids. I use these as my palettes. And then I've got another little tote here that carries just some different items to create different paint textures for art. On the top shelf here, I've got this caddy that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I covered it up with rope. Inside, I've got little tins, and that houses an assortment of gel pens, chalk pens, as well as some charcoal pencils. So beside that, I've got all these tin cans that I have covered. And again, I've got videos for these as well. So I have an acrylic container, and this is housing a whole bunch of different art supplies that I like to use. And these acrylic containers, I picked these up from Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store, but you can get these at other locations as well. So now I have got all these double-ended markers. They need to lay on their sides so that the nibs stay moist. I have got this wire shelf. I picked it up from Dollar Tree. These work great in bookcases, as you can see. And it's great because I was able to find some containers that fit on top as well as underneath. That there was just a portable art little kit. So here's some acrylic paints. I didn't bother to label any of these items. I can see what's in there. Like this has got watercolors and other types of paint. And then tucked in on the side, I also have got some art papers. Okay, so this next section, I did label everything because I was finding that I was picking through all these containers, trying to find what I needed. So these, again, acrylic containers are from Dollarama, and then the wire shelves are from Dollar Tree. You can see how well this works. I also have a video on how I made those labels. So this wire rack, I actually got it from Walmart. It is a big one and it is adjustable, so it is perfect for a space like this. You can also see all the different types of containers that I use and all the different types of supplies that I am storing in this bookshelf. I've got paintbrushes, craft paints, artist paints, markers, pencils, all kinds of different supplies and different types of containers that I have found at either thrift stores or I've upcycled at dollar stores, Walmart, all kinds of different places. So definitely check out all your different stores that you have around where you live. So this is the bottom shelf of the bookcase, and I knew it wouldn't work well for most of my art supplies, so I decided to store bulky items. I've got my guillotine cutter, large craft mats, and I got my iris containers from Michaels that store my Cricut supplies, and large crafting tools like this light board and scoreboard. This is a perfect place to store stuff like this. I'm not a sewer, but I do have a sewing machine, so that's stored on the top of all these night tables. Now, these night tables were built by my husband's Opa, and we weren't using them in the bedrooms anymore, so I'm repurposing them in this craft space. So on top, I've got my sewing machine, and I have repurposed all these thrift store pieces. Again, I've got a video for that in the playlist at the end. I show how I did these over. So one storing my needles, this one is storing all of my threads, and then the bottom one is storing all the sewing notions. And for a little personal touch, I added this little sign that I recently made. I will link that video down below in the description. So in these drawers, I've got them all labeled, and this top one has sequins. I have got quite the collection of sequins, but I like to make shakers, and then these can be used for other projects as well, especially at Christmas time. That particular container was from Dollar Tree, and it holds a mask, so it works really well for those little containers. These ones are from Dollar Tree as well, and that color coordinates all my sequins. Next drawer down, I've got micro glitter and micro beads, as well as some filler items and scatter elements. And I've got these all sorted out in assorted containers that I picked up from all sorts of different places. So I did sort everything out accordingly, like glitter is with glitter, and then the micro beads are in one of those mask containers again as well. Okay, buttons. I have such a thing for buttons. And I remember as a little girl, I'd sort through my mom's button collection and I'd ooh and ah, and now I have my own collection. So I did color coordinate my buttons, like organize it all. And I have like decorative buttons organized, buttons that are left on their button cards. And I've got wood buttons sorted, and as well as some decorative buttons. So again, I got these containers at different locations. Oh, those are actually Brad's. I decided to store those in there as well. You can see all the different types of buttons that I have. These are double-sided containers. They work really well for the decorative buttons. So this drawer has my pom-poms and flat back embellishments such as pearls and enamel dots. I have got these acrylic containers that you can pick up from a Dollar Tree. They are in there. And then I got this stationery container that was out at Dollar Tree during their back to school sales. So definitely check out Dollar Tree during back to school season. So now I've got another drawer, and this has a wood laser cut embellishments and metal embellishments. I really like these containers that have got the compartments in it. It works really well for things like this. So the bottom drawer has got assorted embellishments as well as flowers. So these are flowers that I picked up from a Dollarama, but I've seen Dollar Tree carry some like that now too. And I also have got this little box that's just got an assortment. I have to relabel it. And then another compartment container there.
I just want to let you all know that I appreciate all of you being here. I am so honored and privileged to be able to share my love of creativity with all of you, and I appreciate the comments as well as the thumbs up and just having you all here as a part of my community.
Okay, on to stickers. I don't have like a ton of stickers, but I do have a fair amount. I like to store them in these binders, and I got these envelope binder holders from Dollar Tree again during back to school. As you can see, I've got a piece of 8x11 white cardstock in there that keeps it sturdy and as well as helps the stickers to pop against the background. I did categorize all my stickers. You can see I also have some larger stickers in these larger envelopes in magazine holders. And then I've just got an assortment of different things that I hold smaller stickers or scattered stickers in. Those ones there are loose, and this system works really, really well for me. Underneath that, I've got this VHS tape holder drawer that I picked up from the thrift store, and I repurposed it to house all my ribbons and trims. This isn't all of the ribbons and trims. I do have another box that I need to go through, but I'm quite happy with where I am at with this. So this is kind of like my embellishment section, I would like to call it. And on the top of this dresser has got a bunch of thrift store finds. So these two crates are from Whiskey, and they make great storage compartments. This has just got some paper crafting tools in it, an embossing tool, and some pieces for some chalking. This container is empty, which is great. I've got this index card holder. It is an old piece, and it houses some decorative tapes. And then beside that, I've got this crate, and it is full of my wax seal supplies. So I've got an assortment of different containers, and these are all from the thrift store. So I really recommend checking out your thrift store just to see the different types of things that you can find for storage. So on the bottom here, I've got a container that stores washi and decorative tapes, and it had smoked salmon in it. So I thought that was a really cool piece to have. So on top here, I've got this tray, and it is from one of my favorite artists, Kelly Ray Roberts. I happened to find it at the thrift store, and it houses just an assortment of different things. Nothing is too specific. It's kind of like a catch-all, but it also houses these vases that I've got branches. I wanted to have a display of some natural elements that I could use in my projects. This is what the inside of the tray looks like. And it's sitting on top of this library index card holder. This was a find that I picked up from the thrift store for 10 bucks. It was an awesome deal. And as you can see, it has washi tape in it. Okay, so all of that is sitting on top of this dresser that I picked up from Facebook Marketplace. I keep different things in here. I've got my ink pads, but I also have these embellishment holders and some embossing powder in there. I have this little stash of these pockets that I found at Dollar Tree, and I got this idea from Lollipalooza. I'm going to link that video for you down in the description. You'll definitely want to check that out. This was not my own idea, but it was a great way to store some supplies. Next to that, I've got my stamps, and I don't have like a ton. Like, I do have a fair amount, but it's not like over the top, so this drawer works well for that. I have got a drawer that's specific to lace. I love lace, and I pick it up from the thrift store all the time. And I just kind of puzzled different containers together until I could fill it up so I could store all my lace in a nice, neat, organized way. All right, so beside that, I've got a drawer for string, twine, rope, different things like that. I think I even have some raffia tucked away in there. And then on the very bottom, I've got 2 drawers full of beads. Now, I know this is a lot. My kids and I, we were into playing around with beads. So I need to go through all of these, but I'm gonna save that for the winter. That particular container was from Dollar Tree in their, I believe their cosmetic section. No, in their bed and bath section. Dollar Tree has got a ton of great containers, especially if you're looking for little ones like that. So this bead drawer is a little bit more well organized. And again, I just have too much, though. I definitely need to go through all of this. But it's so fun and so pretty to look at, especially when it is all nicely organized. This container has some tools in it. So this next section is right beside the window. This is a fabric file folder that you hang on the wall, and I house all my flowers and stuff there. This is a tower that's got different tools and tapes and glues, as well as some stationery items. In the corner, I have a box that houses all my rolls of wrapping paper and contact paper. So you can see here, this isn't actually all my florals. I have another stash hiding away in my overflow section, and I just switch things out according to the season. So my Sizzix machine is sitting on the top of this stationery drawer tower, and I've got pencils and pens on the top, stationery tools right here in this drawer, and then on the bottom I've got different clips and whatnot. Again, here's some of those containers from Dollar Tree. So those stationery drawers are sitting on top of this tower of drawers, and this houses things like my different cutting tools. You can see all the selection that I have in here. I've got some scissors in here, but I also have some scissors elsewhere. I always use rags, so I've got a drawer full of that. I have paper punches in this drawer. That's all I have for those, especially when you've got a cutting machine. You don't really need a whole lot of punches. This has got an assortment of different craft tapes that I like to use as well. And then I've got a drawer that's full of different glues that I like to use for crafting. I've got tacky glue and like some foam board glue and some glue sticks, epoxy. Here's a tip. You can use some loaf bread tins inside drawers like this to house some supplies like that. This is just an assortment of different tools, like my florist tools and things to hang pictures up on the wall. This has got some larger tools, but I have another stash that I still have to move into this drawer. So this is at the back wall. This is cube shelving, and this is what's behind me when I'm crafting. So I made sure I labeled everything because I was finding that I was pulling out every single container, trying to figure out what was in there. That is my Cricut press. These are heat tools. I tried to make sure I had everything well labeled for sure. You can see I've got my Cricut Joy, and I also have my Sizzix supplies there, some other paper crafting tools. I like to have a container of cardstock readily available so I can use my Sizzix machine to do samples. This is all my die cutting supplies and tools. And on the very bottom, I've got craft mats, my laminator, and a die cutting machine I had picked up from the thrift store that I'm fixing up for my daughter. On the top, I've got a container that's got tin. Anything to do with tin goes in here. Most of it's from Dollar Tree. And then underneath that, I've got a section that has got an assortment of specifically Dollar Tree supplies that I have been wanting to use up. So you can see all the different types of baskets and containers that I use for storage. A lot of these did come from Dollarama. They are great to use for storage. I find all kinds of different things there. The fabric bins are from Dollar Tree. This particular basket's got both signs and some wood houses tucked away in there. I just didn't have another place for those houses to go. This one's got some furniture and some light up wood pieces. This has got some pegs, clips, and some craft sticks. So these particular baskets that I'm showing you right now all have different wood items in it. These cases here are from Dollar Tree. They are pencil cases. Again, during the back to school sale, they bring in some really great storage. This basket's got an assortment of different wood shapes and signs, some laser cut pieces and letters. I think it's good to have one basket that's just got an assortment of different elements that don't necessarily fit under one specific category. So that was all my wood craft supplies. Now these are some paper crafting supplies that I like to use for both paper crafting and for just general crafting. So I just like to have these tucked away in here. And then underneath that, I've got this basket. It's got some succulents in it, but I didn't want to overstuff this particular cubby because of the power outlet. And then in the next few boxes below is full of different napkins that I like to use for decoupage. So I do have one of these baskets that are full of tech supplies that I use for recording. And then I've got a couple of cubbies that's just full of different books and supplies. So this is on the top of my cubby. I have got this shoe rack. I picked it up on clearance from Walmart for like 10 bucks. It works great for on top of shelving. And as you can see, I've got different containers that fit on here really well. This is an assortment of seasonal supplies from different stores, not specifically Dollar Tree. And I've got just a couple of containers with an assortment of supplies. Okay, this is one of my most favorite things I've ever made, and I wanted to put it on display in here. I will link that video down in the description box below. That's just another project. And here's a muffin tin storing an assortment of different supplies. So this is another thrift store makeover that I've done over, and it houses a bunch of different glue items. It's great. I have got one drawer left on the top that doesn't have anything in it. I love it when I can have that. This is a tin that I redid, and it holds my scissors. And this tin has a bunch of different glue that I want to try out. This is all sitting on top of the cube shelf organizer. Okay, so on the opposite wall from the window, I've got a section of cabinets, but right in between the cabinets, I was able to store some things on these garment hangers, and they hook over the edge really well. That way here, it helps me to utilize these really narrow spaces. So this particular cabinet has got all my cardstock, tissue paper, decorative papers, as well as my scrapbook papers. It is all in here and it's all well organized. I found these accordion file folders. They are all color coded, and I got these from Dollarama, and I put all my 8x11 cardstock and some decorative papers in those. I've got a magazine holder that's got some scrap cardstock that I want to use up. And then I've got containers with some tissue paper and some sewing patterns. I like to use sewing patterns in my mixed media art. And then I've got a couple of other boxes and tins with some other decorative papers. These are some 12 by 12 envelopes that have got decorative papers. And again, those other things are other decorative papers that I had in my stash. So this is a box full of tissue paper that I need to get rid of actually, but I've got these containers from Michaels, and they have got 6 by 6 paper pads. And then this particular box right here has got some projects that I'm working on, and I got those containers from Dollarama. Okay, iris cases are awesome. They are from Michaels, and I categorized all my scrapbook paper. This works so well for me. I was getting tired of looking through all the different paper pads to try and find exactly what I was looking for. So I was happy when I decided to organize all of my scrapbook paper. So this is the next cabinet over, and this cabinet is a hodgepodge. This holds things that didn't really fit anywhere else. So it's got all kinds of different supplies and tools. But on the very top, I've got this one box here. It's full of scraps. It's my hat box. I've had it that way for years. This basket has tea-dyed paper. That container's got an assortment of papers. There's some cards on the top. This magazine holder has got stickers and rub-ons. I made sure I labeled that because I was searching around for all those for quite a while. And I like to have plants in my craft room. Okay, so inside the cabinet, it has all kinds of different supplies. Again, like I said, they don't really fit anywhere else. I've got a blender, an iron, different glues that my daughter uses to make slime, which I think she is done doing, so I think I might donate all this stuff. But I've got rocks and large containers of glitter. I've got my paint stripper in here and an assortment of dyes, and you name it, it's in here. So I've got this rack that again I picked up from Dollarama, and it fit in here so well. I believe it is a shoe rack, or maybe it is a shelf. I can't remember now. I'll have to look that up for you, but it works really good. So you can see all the different kind of supplies that I have in here, and it works great. Okay, next section, yarn. I had a ton of yarn, and I was very disciplined and got rid of a bunch. So I've got these bushel baskets. I have had these for about 25 years, and they house chunky yarn. And then I've got half of a shoe rack. Again, I got these from Walmart. In these Dollar Tree baskets, I've got just scrap little bits of yarn that didn't really fit anywhere else. I've got a piece of plywood on top of these drawers. Now, I emptied out enough yarn that I was able to empty out one full drawer and store my tools. I've got weaving looms and needles and knitting needles and crochet hooks, all kinds of tools. I made these labels with my Cricut Joy, and again, I will have that video in the playlist. And I color coordinated all of my yarns so they would be so much easier to look instead of having just a big mess. So this particular drawer set is from when my kids were little. I picked it up for $5 at a garage sale. It's kind of beat up, but it works really well for yarn storage. So on the top, there was a little bit of a nook left, and I was able to store a few things like pipe cleaners and some wires in this tall container. Those wood boards are for mass pom-pom making. I've got cute little dresses that I want to hang somewhere. I'm just trying to utilize every little space that I have available in this craft room. Okay, this is a big cabinet. It came from my husband's Oma's place when she had passed on, and the family gave it to us to use. I wanted to use it in my craft room, and you can see how much storage it has. So this particular tower of drawers here though, that's my daughter's craft supplies. It's on wheels, so we're able to move it out of the way so we can access the rest of this cabinet. You can see how much storage there is. This is full of all kinds of different supplies for making art journals, for mixed media art. I also have all my art journals stored in here. I also have some card making supplies in here. This is all to do with paper crafting. I found these shoe racks from Dollarama, and I'm telling you, shoe racks are great to really utilize a space for storage. I also found these shoe containers from Dollarama, and they fit in this little cubby perfectly. Underneath that, I've got a little spot to store my craft magazines, my art magazines, and books. And then in this little space now, I want to clear it out and have a nice little space to hold little mementos. But for now, it's storage for different cards and little journals and things like that. So I like to alter binders for different projects. They're really, really fun to alter. And I also found these thrift store finds. I also have a couple of containers that have got projects ongoing. Down below that, this is all my journals or altered books. I like to use altered books as art journals. It's a great place to just experiment. This is one of my favorite ones to work in. And then below that, more journals. And then this file folder right here has got sheet music. It's great for using in all kinds of projects. I've got other craft supplies and envelopes there. And this is all my spiral journals. Again, great to play around in and test different techniques out. So these are more shoe boxes that I picked up from Walmart quite a while ago, and you can see they're all labeled accordingly. And in this little corner here, I've got an index card holder. And then I also have this little box that a friend of mine had made for me. Thank you, Stacy. Underneath there, this is a hodgepodge of ephemera. I know it's a real mess, but it's just an assortment of different ephemera that I want to use in different projects. And then I've got magazines in these magazine holders. They're just crafting magazines that I like to look through for inspiration. On the very bottom here, I've got an assortment of different papers that I like to use, again, for making junk journals or for art journaling. I like to have a real good selection of papers and ephemera to use in my artwork. So I've got all these different pieces I picked up from the thrift store. These are all really great to use in different projects. So you can see those doors slide shut and it exposes the other side, and that houses some larger books and magazines. So these are some baskets that I had put together. I will have that tutorial in the playlist as well. And I call this my junk drawer of sorts. I needed a place just to throw some things, and this became exactly that. This corner here has got my large canvases. They fit perfectly in there. And then my daughter's craft cart can move right back into place, and it does not get in the way. It actually works really well because I don't access that corner very often. Okay, somebody came to visit me. This little guy is Cheeto. If he knows I'm in here, he is always coming to bug me, and he wants up, and he's my little crafting buddy. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the middle of the room. I've got 2 chairs, and I've got this table that my husband had made for us a long time ago. We had it for camping, and we now use it in our craft room. I've got caddies that house different tools in the middle, and some craft mats, and some jars with water in it. I also was able to fit a couple of drawer towers, the shorter ones. Those ones are from Dollar Tree. And this is my craft table. This is where you will see me crafting in the background for my videos. On top, I did create myself a protected surface. And what I did was put together 4 craft mats from Dollar Tree. I made sure that the matte side was facing up and the shiny side was facing down, and I taped them all together. This table is sitting on top of some bamboo shelves, and it's got the fabric basket sitting there. It's just housing some miscellaneous items, my glue gun, and some projects that I'm going to be working on. They're kind of empty, which is great. On top of there, I've got this container, wood container, and it has tools that I use all the time, as well as some glue. This little wood crate actually came from the thrift store. On the other side, I have another garbage can, and then I've got a recycle bin in the middle. And that drawer tower is just more supplies of my daughter's. For those of you who are interested, I'm sharing the things that I use for video recording. I've got this wall or ceiling mount bracket and a selfie stick that extends to up to 6 feet. And this is what I use to record my above shots. I'm going to have the link to everything that I use for recording down below in my Amazon favorites store. I also use this cell phone holder. It's metal and my phone fits in there perfectly. This is a tripod that we've had on hand forever, but I will link one that I think might be suitable in the favorites store as well. This is my lighting. This is newer for me. It's on tripods, and these lights work great. I did have to put the diffuser on there, as you can see, but you have the option of both plug-in and battery pack. I also got these clamps that you can clamp onto your table anywhere you want, and the lights fit on there as well. But everything is interchangeable with each other, which is great for me in this small space. So now we're going to have a look at the middle of the room, and then I'm going to show you my feature wall. I decided to create myself a backdrop for videos, and I am so pleased with how it turned out. As you can see, it's got that natural element that I wanted. I put those branches and some fairy lights. I've got some artwork and a beautiful metal bird on the back. I just love how this turned out. And of course, I had to have my channel name in there as well.
For more craft room inspiration, I have got this lineup of videos for you. It is jam-packed with organization and different tips for all of you, as well as some motivation on cleaning up. I want to thank you all so much for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.